The Suns stole the spotlight this weekend by getting business done with two of their big free agents. But now what's next? We'll talk about that much more after this. What's up? What's happening? Welcome into the PHNX Suns show. It is draft week, and all of our draft week coverage is presented by 1AZ Credit Union. I am feeling the energy already. It is a big week. It was a big weekend in Phoenix Suns land. Of course, we've got the Freckle Mamba behind the Mac. I am Gil, and we got Erik right here. And today we're going to talk about the weekend that was. Devin Booker, official news now. Jordan Goodwin, Collin, Gillespie, reported news now. And what it all means moving forward, because not only does the free agent signings mean things for Mark Williams, but the number change might too. So anyway, with all of that, Erik was good, man.
I mean, what a busy weekend.
Yeah, they stole the spotlight.
Yeah, good to see everybody back here in the chat. We got Andy, we got Ashley, we got Drew, who says, how do you all already have a Book 15 jersey? That's a Freckled Mamba special back there. And then also says, missed you guys. Been off the grid for a month for my son's birth, but it's good to be back. Drew, congratulations on your son, and glad to have you back as well. A good time to get back into Suns land. They stole the show. Draft show tomorrow, a live show, and then another draft live show for the second round. We're going to talk about that later. Feels like the Suns are going to do something, but what exactly are they going to do? We're going to talk about that. Happy 1-year KD trade anniversary.
Goodness gracious.
Accompanied by new KD trade rumors out of Houston. Well, the Suns lock up their culture over the weekend, Gil. 2 separate shows, one for Goody, one for Gillespie, all over the place on this weekend. Before we get into that, though, the Devin Booker stuff was cool.
Really cool. I know we got Papa Ruby in the chat. So first off, happy Father's Day.
Yes.
I know you.
First off,
to say
happy International Father's Day.
So all the dads in the chat, happy Father's Day to y'all too. Happy Father's Day to my pops if he's watching as well back home. And it was cool to see Devin Booker use Father's Day to make the announcement that he's changing to number 15. And we talked about it a lot last week. Obviously, we have the exclusive jersey here behind us as far as Devin Booker.
How did Book get the jersey that's hanging up behind us?
Yeah, this is the same one. But to see him and his dad talk about just how much it meant, and the thing I said, it was like really cool because, like, you know, if you're fortunate enough to have those type of moments and share those things with your pops, like when he said, I don't even know what to say, son. Like you kind of hear, like, you know, like that level of pride of like kind of speechlessness when he saw the Booker 15 jersey in the Suns colors. And what stood out most to me from that video was that Book said he's been trying to wear 15 his entire career.
Dude, yeah, what's up with that? Huh?
Right?
What's up with that? Like you come in and Morris has it. Okay, well, you're just a rookie. You're not going to get it. But like at some point, you probably could have changed it. I think you had a little gravitas, right?
A little bit.
And he said that in the video that they've been working on this for about a year. So I wonder if this was something that was supposed to happen going into last season, and they trade for Mark, and it's like, well, I want to welcome Mark to the team, and now he's just like, screw it. Mark might not be back. I want to go be 15. But I think it actually looks pretty good. I think it was just a little shocking when you hear that. The most points scored by any player who wore number 1 in NBA history.
That's
Did you know
actually,
that?
I would have guessed it was Tracy McGrady. Would have never guessed that.
Yeah, like that's
wild.
pretty. I think the Suns tweeted that. Either that or I got duped, which it was a busy weekend, so I might have gotten duped. But an incredible first half of what he said his career for Devin Booker. So Devin Booker's also going to play till he's 40. That's pretty cool.
He did say that.
All in all, though, Devin Booker has 2 gold medals in 15. So maybe add some more gold to his hardware. He's also at the World Cup.
Right.
I mean, he's had quite a weekend.
And I'll say that's a cool thing too. The last thing I'll say about that, because I know we had an entire show about the number change, and it was cool, and it was reported at the time. But the other thing was seeing when he said, like, every time I created a player on a video game, whether it's football or basketball or like whenever I could play, I would put 15 on there. So it means so much to him. And who knows? Like I know people talk about, you know, it looking different or not looking as cool or he lost his aura, but like, no.
That's actually what Steven would say.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Steven, all Steven could talk about about was the aura.
All you're talking about was the aura change. But the fact that like he's going to get back to playing like the way you played when you first picked up the ball as a kid. Like everybody remembers their first time when they realize they love something, whether it's, you know, your sport or your passion. And I think seeing that version of him, obviously he's been pretty damn good wearing number 1, but to have that childlike fervor when he approaches the game moving forward from here on out, he said he's halfway through his career. So maybe we're going to year 22, but we're in 15 and like, you know.
Strive for greatness. The Damari says DB15 is an actual rifle, so I'm taking this change to mean he's stepping it up as a shooter. You know, I mean, maybe the 3-point shot. Kind of like you said though, with the change in mentality. I think when this first happened, and now that we've heard from him, it sheds a little bit more light of. Okay, there's a reason. And sometimes these things are just cosmetic. You just change for 1 to 15 and honor your dad. But it's also like he seems to have deeply wanted to do this. And that could be different to now he suits up for every single game and he sees the number 15 when Vince Marotta is going to be introing him over the PA going into the game. He's going to hear from Kentucky, a shooting guard standing at 6'6", number 15, Devin Booker, right? So that could actually translate somehow to the court. Now, at the end of the day, if he stayed at 1, he'd still be good. If he's at 15, he's still going to be good. But I'm just really happy that he finally gets to do something that he wants to do. There are some people who are saying, sounds like he just wanted to sell more jerseys.
I don't think he cares.
I don't think you can watch what? It was an 8-minute video with his dad? It was a long video with his dad and think that this is anything but like sentimentally charged.
Right.
So excited for him. And he's going to have 2 guys that he loves sharing the court with in Gillespie and Goodwin. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, Gil, Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin, huh? Return to the Suns. You did not get to jump on yesterday's show with Jordan Goodwin. You were able to jump on the one for Collin Gillespie. So what are your thoughts? Yeah, that was a wild one right after Merck, but what were your thoughts on 3 years, $19 million for Jordan Goodwin?
Happy for Goody, first and foremost. Yes. We always talk about that. Congratulations to the player, you know. And the big thing that I was thinking was that feels very team friendly in some ways, right? And something we were thinking about what the number could look like, and at some point we said maybe 8, maybe 10 or whatever. And there is a 3rd-year player option with that. So if he continues to outperform this deal that he gets, then maybe he gets a big payday around the time he turns 30 years old. But I think it ultimately will be something that is really good for the team and the player. And it was so funny because, you know, this happened yesterday morning. We weren't able to do it because we were playing in a men's league game. I was hooping a little bit, but after that, to see the national discourse around it really shocked. And because we are so close to it. We talk so much about – we talk 5 hours about the Suns for 5 hours a week.
On air.
At least, I would say. And we're talking more about them than that. Like, there are very few people who talk more Suns than we do. And we're so hyper-focused on them that it kind of skews what we think the value is with some of these players. And to see the national discourse say, Suns got to steal, man, that's great for the Suns. Like, this is awesome. They just locked up 2 very, very important members of their rotation, and it doesn't feel like they're stretching themselves thin to do so. So it feels like a major win for the Suns. I did not want to imagine what this team would look like without Jordan Goodwin, and I'm really happy that we're not going to have to.
Yeah, Jordan Goodwin was one of the most impactful players on the Suns last year. I mean, the Suns are getting accused of straight up salary cap circumvention by multiple fans. They're like they're circumventing the salary cap in broad daylight, and you know what? It does kind of feel like that. I know that they're not, but I think a big part of it is we've heard that Collin and we heard that Jordan that they wanted to come back here. Collin's literally gone out and said it in multiple different respects, but to go and commit to a place that gave you the opportunity is a testament to the Suns culture, not just identifying these guys and bringing them in, but also giving them the opportunity, and to Jordan Ott for correctly utilizing them. Why wouldn't they take a slight pay cut, especially 2 guys that are going to hopefully be set up for more paydays in their career, either in 2 to 3 years for Goody or 4 years for Gillespie, since there's no options on that 4-year, $48 million deal, at least according to Gambo, which of course we all trust. So like to have those guys locked up under control, like, yes, probably increasing salaries every year, but it's not like the Trae Young salary that's going to be going up by like $10 million or $15 million. It's going to be going up from 5.8 to 6.8.
Probably with the cap.
For that player option, right? For Gillespie, 10.7 to 13.3. And if we take a look at just kind of the Suns books overall and you break it down, we had some people that were saying that Collin Gillespie could make anywhere from 15 to 20 $1 million. I think John Hollinger had him at $21 million as the 10th best free agent this offseason. So if you look at all of this, the Freckled Mamba did a fantastic job putting all of this together. You see that there are now 2 guys who are under contract for either the entirety of Devin Booker's Supermax contract or 1 year behind that if Goody opts into his player option. That is highlighted in yellow, Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin. So when you look at it that first year, Gillespie, this according to Keith Smith, the spot track, we don't have the official numbers yet, about $10.7 million to start that first year for him and $5.8 million for Jordan Goodwin. You're looking at about $16.5 million just above the MLE for Collin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin, who were two of your best rotation players last season. That's an incredible deal.
That's the thing. I think it's really important to look at it like that. Obviously, they are two very different players, and they bring a lot of different things that help this team be who they are and who they want to be. But to look at it thinking about that chunk and just retaining those two guys for that figure, especially with some people thinking that Collin could have gotten that figure on his own, to be able to get both of those guys is massive for the Suns. And we talk so much during the playoffs, during the playoff run, after the Suns were eliminated in the final four teams standing and the last two teams standing. It's so important to have these guys, the guys like Collin Gillespie, the guys like Jordan Goodwin, who can knock down 8 threes in a game that you win, a close game against an opponent that's one of the better opponents in the league, or against an opponent that refuses to go over your screens. Because we saw both of those guys do that this past year. And as this team continues to build and move forward, these are very important pieces, which in some respects, it's harder to find guys like that. That's all tweet that was like, the Suns are assembling like the perfect cast, the perfect supporting cast. And now the important part now is just, is your star level talent going to play at that? And that's when we talk about Book being comfortable and playing at that level, and Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks and Kamal Malawach kind of becoming who they want to be, they want him to be in coming years. But the marginal guys who not only are impactful, but impactful in the roles that they've carved out for themselves. It's so important that those guys are in this system, because what they do very well is specifically tailored for what Jordan Ott and the Suns need them to be, and vice versa.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, we talk about having to navigate the Bradley Beal on the books era, and it involves stuff like this. Brian Gregory and this front office and Matt Ishbia and Jordan Ott, like the leaders of the Suns organization, deserve a lot of credit for this. But I mean, we got to focus on Brian Gregory, right? We only have one real offseason to go off for Brian Gregory, and I would say last offseason was a pretty damn good one. I think the KD trade is looking very good in retrospect, and Kamal Malawach still hasn't played any meaningful minutes. Rasheer still hasn't played any meaningful minutes, and Jalen Green was injured for 3/4 of the year. And the KD trade is already looking like it played out pretty well, right? So that's nice. That's a good test. That was the big one. The Jordan Ott hiring was really, really great, right? You turn around and you say, this season doesn't happen without Jordan Ott, who, again, was kind of accosted when he was hired because of the Michigan State thing, the same thing that Brian Gregory was also accosted for, having these ties to Matt Ishbia and kind of being an off-the-map hiring. Now, Ott had some more experience, obviously, at the NBA level than Brian Gregory, but Gregory's first move was to go out there and to hire Jordan Ott, which we all considered was a great hire and was top 5 in NBA Coach of the Year. Okay, those are the two first big moves of that offseason. You trade up all your 5 second-round picks to get Rasheer Fleming. That's a great margin move. You go out and you get Collin Gillespie on a full standard contract. That's a great margin move. You go and you get Jordan Goodwin on a non-guaranteed contract. That's a great margin move, right? And then you go throughout the season. You had Haywood Highsmith. You had Jamari Bouye. And while these aren't like world beaters, these are all positive moves, right? So when you can start stacking positive moves in general, and then not only stack them, but build on them. Like, yes, you identified Collin Gillespie. You gave him his first standard contract off of his own two-way contract, and he had a career year for you. And then you capitalized on it instead of letting another team go and capitalizing on your findings. And you gave him what seems like below market value contract and locked him up for 4 seasons, right? Jordan Goodwin could have probably gone and gotten paid a little bit more somewhere else, but you found him, you identified him after the Lakers cut him to sign Bronny, and then you gave him more money in 1 year than he's made in his whole career, but still such a good value. Front offices that do this are successful. Now, to win championships, you have to do the big moves, like what the Knicks have done, or like OKC, I would consider making big moves for Hartenstein and for Caruso, and they're like big role player moves, but still big moves. Like the Celtics going and getting Porzingis and going and getting Al Horford, right? Like, you have to nail it at the top. But the same thing for every single successful team is, what do you do below that?
Yes.
How do you get controllable contracts with great players that want to be there and embody it on the culture? And within 1 calendar year, Brian Gregory has not only done that once, but then stacked it again. That's really impressive for a guy who's never been a GM before.
Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing, because there's been some trepidation from the chat, from the fan base, and I understand. The franchise found itself in a crossroads, and no two ways about it. And a lot of things they had to hit out of the park. A lot of the things that you might not necessarily trust in the moment, and you have to earn that goodwill with the fans. But again, we talk about these best franchises. What they have in common is that there is a sense of alignment between the ownership and the front office and the coaching staff, and you have to have that. And you also have to trust the front office. And you talk about whether it's in San Antonio, what they have, where it's OKC, what New York has done with their kind of change, the facelift to their front office as well. That kind of earned the moves and allowed them to push forward. And you see the common thread among the type of moves that they're making. Some things are managing money and things like that. So now the big question that we're talking about with this front office and the trust that we have in them is what's next. 2 major dominoes have been handled, but there are a few more that need to get handled throughout draft week and beyond as free agency gets going. And we're going to talk about all that after our first break.
602-783-8841. That is a number to the husband and wife law team. That is a number to Mark and Alexis Breyer. That is a number that is going to get you hundreds of years of combined trial experience with multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. That is the number to the husband and wife law team. Well, nobody can guarantee the outcome of a legal case, especially when it comes to serious injury and wrongful death, where they specialize in. They are happy to make you and all of their clients other guarantees, like a guarantee that you can cancel your fee agreement at any time for any reason, a guarantee that you're going to receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their attorney's fee to do so, and a guarantee that you may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose about anything that you'd like to discuss. They are always going to be upfront and honest with you about the strengths and weaknesses of your claim so that you can make an informed decision, not be left in the dark. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website, the link in our show notes, and tell them that PHNX sent ya.
It's hot out. It's not getting hot out. It is hot out.
It's going to get hotter.
It's going to get hotter. And when it gets hotter, that means you need to rely on your air conditioning more.
Yes.
And when you rely on your air conditioning more, that means the energy bill might be a little bit more difficult to manage. But that's where APS comes in. For customers who want help managing their bill, APS has you covered with their rate plan options, which is all about solutions. The problem is the heat. The solution is APS's rate plan options. With them, customers have 3 ways to check their plan options. Monthly plan comparison on their bill every month. You can log into your account to see, or just the old school way, pick up your phone and call APS. It's in the name. You have the rate plan options that can help you save. Look on your bill. There's blue type that says monthly plan comparison. That's how you find out everything that you need to know. So APS, the rate plan options, helping you save money. Find all your options to manage your bill at aps.com/let's talk. That's aps.com/let's talk. Learn about rate plan options. They also have budget billing options for you as well. So APS has you covered. As soon as it gets hotter and the AC gets higher, APS has you covered.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I got to pull the curtain back a little bit because we go to break here and we trust our producers with our lives when we are on air. And the Freckled Mamba, of course, beloved by many, feared by all.
Yes, as they should.
As they all should, goes, Shams bomb, Shams bomb, Shams bomb, Shams bomb, Shams bomb. And I'm like, huh, what? We're scrambling, we're looking at our phone. This guy. Mo Diawara,
Big
a
time.
10-year
NBA
plus
champs.
$1 million deal.
One-time champion, Mo Diawara.
One-time champion. By the way, have you ever seen a 10 million plus
Never seen
demarcation from Shams?
Never seen reporting like that.
Anyway, hit the like button if you want Freckled Mamba to be more truthful with his co-members of the show.
That was a Shams ripple.
Yeah, that was not a Shams
He's skipping
bomb.
rocks right now.
Sham kicked him in the shin. Hey, that's a good move for them.
I got to keep the guys on their toes.
Yeah,
it's
we
a big
appreciate
day.
that.
I was on my toes.
Yeah, well, anyway. Well, shout out to each and every one of you in the chat, especially Ankle Breaker Edits, who 13-year-old aspiring hooper, big Suns fan, been watching us for over 2 years.
Let's go.
We appreciate you. Appreciate you. Happy to have you in here. And you're dropping some knowledge in here, too. I know you mentioned Baba Miller, somebody that we talked about potentially maybe the Suns moving up for. We'll talk about the potential of them.
13-year-old talking Baba Miller, man.
I mean, no ball. No ball. You know
what's better than that? Nothing.
A ball Noah right there. So shout out to you as far as that goes. Now, we talked about a little bit of the Goody and Collin number and what that factors in as far as them both making 16.3 this upcoming year. But in the bigger picture, as we talked about with the cap that Ayrton showed, is where this team stands right now and the flexibility they have moving forward. And Bobby Marks always has a great breakdown with some of the cap figures, and it's important to know that right now, including some of the incentives that are in guys' contracts that they may or may not hit, the Suns' projected salary for this upcoming season is $200.6 million. And that's important because that's $400,000 under the luxury tax and $9.4 million under the first apron. And my math, $22.4 million under that second apron, which is at $223 million.
Yeah.
I gotta get it
Wake
firing a little bit.
math.
Hey, listen, I got my Wake shorts on.
Walk-ons had to go to class.
We had to go to class. I didn't take math, but we did have to go to class.
Okay, what was the most BS class that you took?
Business software.
Come on, dude.
I had PowerPoint. PowerPoint and Excel, business software.
That was it?
Yeah, so just like the final exam was you have to make a PowerPoint presentation and make a spreadsheet.
You did it on dinosaurs.
It's literally on anything. Like had to change the gradient background and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, if we ever need something to make a PowerPoint.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay, so the $200.6 million projected salary, just under the luxury tax, about $10 million under the first apron. We've heard from Gambo and from a couple people that they're willing to spend money, go into that first apron, which I do think makes sense. You got to remember that taxes and aprons and all of that, they only count at the end of the year. And so when you look at these moves from Goodwin and Gillespie, and they deserve to be celebrated like we celebrated them in the first segment, there's clearly so much work for this team that they still need to do, which is why we got to talk about kind of what's next and where these numbers kind of point. You have a little bit of room to operate with, and you can go into the apron and you can go into the luxury tax, but you don't have a lot. And when you start breaking down this team and you're looking at everything and you look at, tomorrow in the draft and possibly trading up in the first round, which we'll talk about later, or you look at Mark Williams and what's up with him, he might be on your books for $10 or $10+ million going forward. And then you just kind of look at the depth chart, and they've got a lot of guys competing for the same positions while also needing some sort of power forward. And so, and maybe a center if it's not Mark Williams. So if I asked you, Gil, kind of what's next when you look at the aprons, how much money they have, the draft coming up, free agency coming up, Mark being restricted, potential trades, everything that's kind of on the table. I know that it was a big deal. They got stuff done over the weekend, but what is top of your mind when you hear about what's next for the Suns after that?
I think clarity is something. I know that's kind of a weird way to answer that question, but hear me out here, because we talk so much about in other sports, oftentimes free agency is before the draft. So you handle that and then you kind of assess your needs in the draft. And there's been so much smoke around the Suns potentially moving up in the draft or taking a guard in the draft. And that's hard to say for a team that just sewed up 2 guards for the next couple years, and there's a thin front court. There's no two ways about it. The front court rotation is a little thin. It's hard to find minutes for some of these guys. So I think is, what are you going to do? What is going to be your draft strategy? Is it going to be moving up and trading up? Are you willing to part ways with one of those guards who maybe there are not enough minutes for, or their minutes is going to take away from the guys you just committed to financially? So I think that what this team needs to figure out is, okay, how are we going to make sense of the amount of guards that we have that need minutes? Because when you talk about it, Jalen Green is going to need minutes.
Yep.
Devin Booker is going to need minutes, obviously, right? And then after that, you just committed to Collin, Gillespie, and Jordan Goodwin. They're going to get a lot of minutes.
Your 2 best on-off ratings last year. It was Collin Gillespie and it was Jordan Goodwin.
Right. So at that point, we've talked a lot about it, and he's on the thumbnail, so it's the elephant in the room. But what is going on with Grayson Allen? What is going to be the deal with him? I think that he's very important to this team, but at the same time, if you expect each of these guys who you have paid to take a step up and maybe each play 3, 4, 5 more minutes this upcoming season, and also Jalen Green being healthy for a majority of the season, is he the odd man out in that he is the oldest of this group of players? He is the guy who the team was better when he was available, but he wasn't available a lot last year, and they found ways to succeed without him. So you understand what it looks like. It's not some big question mark of, are things going to crumble if he's gone? And that is why that's kind of a big question for me. And just as soon they could keep him around. And I think that there's value in keeping him around as well, but I also think that there is a proof of concept that if he is not around anymore, they can figure something out, especially if it means value coming back in return.
If you include Mark Williams coming back to the Suns, they have 1 roster spot available. They also have a draft pick in the second round, and it feels like they're going to trade into the first round tomorrow, or at least into the high second round.
They're
going
to
at least try. That's what it just feels like that's going to happen, right? And then we're talking about free agency, and what if they do this with free agency? Well, hey, if they draft somebody, that's a roster spot, right? So what are you going to do to kind of free up that logjam? It could be with Grayson Allen, and Grayson Allen, when healthy, is the third, or if Jalen Green isn't healthy, like the second best guard on the roster. Like Grayson Allen was absolutely hooping last year and has been hooping next to Devin Booker for a couple of years now. And there's been a lot of chemistry there. I also think Grayson's underrated on the defensive end. As far as putting pressure on the rim, again, we can't really factor in Jalen as a constant here because he wasn't a constant, which you can give Brian Gregory all the credit in the world for the moves he's made. Like, a lot of this will be determined by what does Jalen Green actually turn out being, which we just don't know yet. But Grayson's the only one that actually puts pressure on the rim. Gillespie cannot get to the rim, or wasn't able to get to the rim this past season. Jordan Goodwin can get to it, but it's mainly on tip-ins and putbacks, which is very impressive in his own right, but he's not exactly taking somebody off of the dribble, off the catch and shoot, going down low, dribbling, and then taking it to the hoop. Maybe every once in a while, but Grayson was doing it all the time. So you could see Grayson as the odd man out. He also makes $18 million. He's also a veteran, and he's somebody that if you are a team in the first round and you're looking to maybe move off of a draft pick, he could give you some adequate value. I also look at Royce O'Neal because the same way that you kind of have a logjam at that guard position, there is a little bit of a logjam at the forward position as well. Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, Dillon Brooks, Grayson Allen can sometimes play forward, Rasheer Fleming, Haywood Highsmith, like, there's not a ton of minutes to go around here, especially if you're going to be factoring in a little bit more of Rasheer Fleming next season, which I think all of us are also expecting. And so you look at the vets as two guys that other teams are probably going to acknowledge the most as having some sort of some sort of capital in order to move on from a draft pick, specifically Grayson Allen, who also makes a decent salary. So you could trade both of them for one player and a draft pick. You can trade one of them for a draft pick. You might just trade cash for a draft pick. Now you have two draft picks in one roster spot. So that might lead you to look at Jamari Bouye, whose contract is a team option for next year. Like, something has to shake here for the Suns. And if we're being honest, it might be a little uncomfortable.
I agree. And I think when you talk about the front court of it all, I think there are more ifs on that side of things, or the wing rotation more so than the front court, because obviously there's big question marks in the front court with the center position. But when I think about the trade or a potential trade of a known commodity of one of your two veterans, because unfortunately, just the way it works, it makes the most sense in these conversations that if you see it, it is oftentimes one of Grayson or Royce. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, doesn't necessarily mean that we don't enjoy watching to be a part of this team. Yeah. That's just a sensible thing. And a part of it, too, is to be traded, you have to have value as well. Correct. But with Royce, I'm curious because we talk about, Rasheer taking a leap, Ryan taking a leap, but those are ifs. Those are things that we aren't sure about yet. And the backcourt part of it is these guys are so sure about those guys that they have been, or the front office is so sure about Collin and Goody that they have committed. They've pledged money to those guys, and we understand what they have there and that there's some comfort there. And also those deals go beyond Grayson's time here, at least Goody's could. Collins will, so they recognize those guys as being the heir apparent in some sorts. Now, you mentioned Grayson being able to play up a little bit. I know he doesn't have the most size. His ability to play the threesome and then playing like those 3 or 4 guard lineups that we've seen that people sometimes complain about, and I understand some of the issues that people have with those lineups, that makes it a little more interesting for me, because maybe people aren't willing to take on that $18 million, and it's Royce that you part ways with, and you just have one of those guys play up if you don't trust the ifs in the wing position. But I don't know, are you more confident in parting ways with a Royce and having those young guys figure it out, or parting ways with Grayson and then just the wise
words of a scholar, ¿por qué no los dos? I think if I'm trading one, I probably want to trade both. If I'm being honest, I'd kind of want to do a 2-for-1. $28 million total. I think you can trade that and you can get back somebody who makes less than $28 million, or I guess $28 million would be a little bit pricey for one player, but you can bring in somebody who makes a little bit less and you can open up a roster spot. I think it's tough because both of them are good players. And without Royce O'Neal last year, the Suns are nearly as good as they're supposed to be. He was also on a near historic pace from three. Grayson Allen has almost set the franchise record for three-pointers made, and he has the franchise record for three-pointers made in a single season. There's nothing inherently wrong with playing Royce O'Neal at the 4 at times, and there's nothing wrong with playing 4-guard lineups at times. I think that Suns fans in general just kind of got sick of it simply because it happened all the time. It was all the time. It was, okay, we're always small. We're always getting out-rebounded on the defensive rebounded side of things. We are always getting attacked in the paint. So they want change. I think holding on to either of them is, like Steven, who's with us in the chat, saying kind of the comfortable thing, and I don't think it's necessarily bad. And if they both have good seasons, they might actually have more value at the deadline, considering Royce probably has about the same amount of value that he's going to have. Maybe it'll decrease a little bit because of age, and he's more likely, I think, to decline than Grayson Allen. Grayson's coming off of an incredible season when he's on the court, but just couldn't stay on, didn't really play in the playoffs at all, and was just in and out and in and out and in and out. So his value is probably pretty low right now, too. So I think if you're moving on one, you probably got to explore moving on for both. Try to consolidate into a starting level power forward if you're not going to start Rasheer. And free up a little bit more money, free up another roster spot. And if not, then honestly, like, I love Jamari Bouye. I've been a big advocate of Jamari Bouye, but it just might not make sense to keep Jamari Bouye alongside all these other guys, especially if with one of your draft picks, if you trade for another one, you take a guard tomorrow or Wednesday. Who's going to play? And at some point, as Brian Gregory constructing the roster, you have to break this down and say, like, logically what makes sense. Like, we might love Jamari Bouye. We love the story. We love the player. We love the pressure that he puts on the rim. Like, pre-concussion Bouye was like a legitimate NBA rotation player. He earned his standard contract. But in order for us to properly have a team that's balanced, we got to move on from him, move on from one of our quote-unquote success stories. So what feels like it's going to happen next for me, Gil, is some sort of consolidation, an opening of a roster spot, and a trade into the first round of the draft. And all of that doesn't even factor in Mark Williams yet.
Oh, well, yeah, the Mark Williams part of it is another aspect of it. And honestly, it would be so much to talk about it on this segment. So we're going to go into a break and we'll talk all about Mark Williams and how he fits into everything that the Suns have been doing this offseason. Hey, Erik, you know what time it is?
No.
No, you don't know what time it is, but there's never a better time than now. The present. The time is now, basically, is what the time is. And there's no better time than now to sign up for Bet365. And that is because right now, new users at Bet365 get $200 in bonus bets thanks to the Bet10 Get $200 promo. You're in disbelief right now.
I could use a nice little $200 in bonus bets.
Well, let me tell you how to do it. I know you're not a user, but for you new users who could do that, all you have to do is sign up, make a $10 bet, and they're going to throw you $200 in bonus bets, and that's regardless if your bet wins or loses. The bonus bets will be there. You can use them on the World Cup. You can use them on WNBA. You can use them on MLB. All you got to do.
I think there's some NBA futures out there.
And some NBA futures as well. Suns 2027 NBA champions. So download the app today and use the code PHNX365. Bet365 is where winning is everything. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 up only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
If the Suns do win the championship, I'll be toasting with the Michelob Ultra, but that's in the future. For right now, this summer, it is all about soccer. And Michelob Ultra is a proud sponsor of the U.S. men's national soccer team. The entire planet is locked in on the FIFA World Cup right now, and here in the Valley, across the country, we'll all be going crazy for the USA throughout all of it. Michelob Ultra is brewed right here in America, and they say that same grit that gets U.S. soccer players to the world's biggest stage and winning a couple of games is brewed here too. Michelob Ultra is the beer to match the moment, whether you're packed into a bar, one of our watch parties, or yelling at your TV at home. For every match, every goal, and every play on the world's biggest stage, go ahead, crack open something superior. Michelob Ultra is a proud sponsor of the U.S. men's national soccer team and official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 26. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch. Michelob Ultra Light Beer out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Go.
Last week was a transformative week for me, Gil.
And the Michelob Ultra is going to be flowing at our World Cup watch parties. We can join us, the PHNX crew over there, at these watch parties presented by Buchanan's, Casamigos, Don Julio, and Michelob Ultra. The next one is Wednesday, June 24th at 6 p.m. Mexico takes on Czechia at Backyard Desert Ridge. And then Thursday at 7 p.m., Team USA will wrap up its group stage. Group winner, by the way, Team USA against Turkey at Phillies on Warner. And those drink specials include $4 Michelob Ultras, $6 Neutrals, and $6 Stella Artois. Visit gophnx.com/events for more details and to RSVP.
Well, we appreciate everybody who showed up today for our little preview for the next couple of weeks for the Suns here. What's next for the Suns tomorrow? What's next for the Suns as free agency starts with Mark Williams. And we've got a poll in the chat from the Freckled Mamba himself. Says, do you think the Suns make another trade before tomorrow night's NBA draft? Yes, major move. Yes, margin move. Or no, hashtag team continuity. It does feel like the dam might break with the Giannis trade today if the Suns find a way to get involved, if maybe other teams are willing to make a move. But before we get to tomorrow night, possibly tonight, I can't stop thinking about Mark Williams.
And what number he's going to wear this year? Oh, my bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is kind of one if he does come back here because he's worn 15.
I think he wore 5 in Charlotte and couldn't have 5 here, and the 5's not available.
Yeah.
Here.
So why didn't he have to pick a different number? Why couldn't Book just take 15 last year?
Actually, Book said it. He said he tried to get it for year 10, and they said you had to wait a year and a half because, like, for the NBA Players Association to sell all the jerseys. So that's why he had to wait a year and a half. But them keeping it under wraps for that long was pretty impressive because this has been in the works for that long. But anyway,
could have made it another week, and then could have made it until Father's Day. Mark Williams, qualifying offer extended. Enters restricted free agency, is one of the most interesting restricted free agents out there. The Suns currently, I don't think, have a starting center. And if he does get brought back at above that $10 million, if we're talking about projected cap space and whatnot, that would put them over that first little rung there. So how are you feeling about Mark Williams? Does what happened over the weekend change at all how you feel about Mark Williams and possibly going into the first apron to bring him back?
It makes me feel more confident that it's going to happen, honestly, in that the value of the deals that were had, I don't think that, again, I think they were fair deals for all involved, but I also think that it gives the Suns some flexibility to make this Mark Williams move. And we talk so much about it, and we have been trying to figure out what that could look like, what the figure could look like, what the years could look like. And it feels like Mark is in this position right now where health has been an issue for him. There's no two ways about it. And staying in a situation where he's a little bit more of a known commodity, where there is a little bit of an understanding that we need you to be healthy to succeed and play well, and you need to be healthy to maybe get a bigger payday when you're 26 or 27 years old. So it feels like it's trending toward continuity, again, being prioritized to bring him back, take it very carefully, and then see where it goes. The language about protecting yourself continues to stay in my mind as far as games played and availability. But right now, even if it drags out like we've talked about and what we've seen in recent history with restricted free agents, I am leaning right now, if you asked me, that Mark Williams will be wearing a Suns uniform. I don't know what number, but he'll be wearing a Suns uniform next season.
I might just be so off base. I'm kind of starting to feel like he's going to play on the qualifying offer,
which would put you right above.
I think it actually might be best for all parties involved. Look, Mark Williams, I don't think is going to have a crazy big market, and I'm sure even if other teams are willing to offer him multiple years, it's not going to be at a high number. I think Mark also understands that all it's going to take is one really good, healthier season from him, or maybe the health is just swapped and maybe more dispersed instead of all at the end of the season. It kind of feels like it would be best for both parties. The Suns, reasonable contract for a starting level center, probably the lowest amount of money you could pay a starting level center. Hopefully he starts, bridges the gap until Kaman Malawach is presumably ready to start, hopefully all-star break-ish, right? And maybe Mark is injured by then. If he is, then, maybe it's bad for Mark long-term. He's not going to get a big contract. I don't think he's going to get a big contract anyway. But if Mark somehow has a fully healthy season and the Suns are banking on being healthy plus getting Rasheer and Kaman back, I think the Suns can win 50-plus games. I know some turn their nose to that and say continuity, you got to make a move, and I do agree. I want them to make a move. But to think that they can't get better with the same group of guys when they were so often injured, and they also had a first-year head coach. I don't know if you know that it was Jordan Knott's first year, but it was Jordan Knott's first year.
Wow. Okay.
As head coach. If Jalen's back and Jalen grows, if Dillon's kind of the same guy, if Rasheer and Kaman take a step and then Collin gets a little better, maybe Goody gets a little bit better, Oso gets a little better, Ryan Dunn gets a little bit better, I see why the front office would think they get better. And so if Mark is back and healthy and plays and the Suns find themselves in a playoff situation or maybe battling for that 5th or their 4th seed where it felt like they were kind of in that range for a little bit of the season there, Mark could set himself up to get a rather hefty payday the following year. And if you follow the trends, he had his healthiest season last year. Like, he ended the season a little bit injured, but it wasn't a torn ACL. It wasn't a torn Achilles. It wasn't like the back problems. Now, foot problems aren't great, but it wasn't like a terrible foot fell off, your leg injury. Like, it was the stress reaction. So I kind of feel like he plays for the qualifying offer.
It's a big bet. That's a big risk, but I see what could happen with that. One of two things is the way I'm seeing a qualifying offer potentially, which is we say like $9.5 million, which puts you
9.6.
9.6.
Yeah.
So it puts you right into the first apron, which you can shed some salary pretty easily. And if that ends up being something that the team now you haven't factored
and they're
in.
fine being in the first apron,
right?
So like
which
that
they're
doesn't
fine being
matter
in that
as
area,
much.
right? Which also I was thinking to that point that they could actually make a couple things after that and get back under it if that was the case. If they're right above it, maybe it is Jamari, maybe it is doing some things that you with the draft and things like that. But I say that to say one of two things can happen, it feels like in my head. He struggles again with health, and it ends up being the Rob Williams situation where there's no shame, but some people's bodies just aren't built for 82-game seasons.
Yeah.
I know people could be out there like, why didn't you do it? My skills weren't built for an 82-game season. That's why I'm sitting here talking about it. But we've seen it a lot, like Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, guys who get the label of injury prone. In reality, sometimes it's just too much toll. But when they're available, they're very impactful. And maybe we have that realization that if you have Mark Williams, it needs to be in a limited role, similar to what we've seen with Rob Williams in Portland. He's kind of figured it out, and they've been managing, and he hasn't had serious injuries since everything plagued him for about 2 or 3 years of his career. The other side of it is he finally finds that health, which would be great for the Suns in the interim. It would require a bigger payday and would be great for him because at that point he has the right to stand on it and say, listen, I was available for 68 games. I averaged a double-double or something shy of a double-double, and now I need to get paid. But I don't necessarily know if there's much of a gray area in between one of those two things because it just feels like it's going to be one extreme or the other. And I see that Mark is an NBA talent. He's a very talented NBA player. So even if he isn't available but for half the season next year, hopefully not, knock on wood, he's available more than that, there's still going to be a market for him. But I just think that that's where the risk runs because that's very much a timeline that could happen if he plays on a qualifying offer.
I think somebody could throw him an offer. All it takes is one team. Right? And he is coming off of his healthiest season. I know we scoff at it, and of course there are some people who have opinions in chat about saying, oh, he's given up on the team or whatever it is. He didn't give up on the team. Now his body isn't, holding up, and that in its own right is a big problem. But I'm sure he wants to play. He did play 60 games, which is 16 more than his career high. He hit his career high in January.
I remember that.
Right? And another part of it isn't just the games played, but the fact that he can't play over 30 minutes in a game.
Right.
Usually he's going to be playing anywhere from 20 to like 26 on a good day if he's feeling really good, and that's also going to limit the amount of money a team's going to offer him. Is a team that's actually having a chance at playoff basketball going to offer him? Because I think if you're Mark, you're looking at this ticking clock for sure, and you're realizing your best payday is to clearly prove that you can be a not 82-game player, 16-game player. Which you need to get through the 82 games, and you need to be a good team to get there, right? You need to be a team that can have players available, ready to play at least for a majority of the season, which Mark did play for a vast majority of the season. But then if they're healthy come postseason time, they can play. We don't know about that with Mark. We didn't get to see him play, which is a little bit unfortunate because not only could have the Suns used him, but it gives you a clearer picture about kind of going forward. And it's like, okay, this guy can play or can't play in the playoffs, or there are some problems, some struggles he needs to work on. What teams are going to offer Mark? The Bulls? Do you want to go put your faith in the Bulls organization? And I get they're trying to move things around and change things there, but you're going to go put your faith in a Bulls organization for $3 million more a year now and play meaningless basketball where they're going to need you to play, close to 30 minutes per game. And then if you do and you only play, 60-ish games, you're definitely not going to make the playoffs or the play-in. You're not going to prove yourself again. And then what? You're a free agent again in 2 years and you just played meaningless basketball? Nobody's going to offer you a big contract for doing that. So I think he wants to play meaningful basketball. And you can play that here, and you're needed here. Take the 1-year qualifying offer. There's a plan at center for the future. Like you're probably not going to be needed here unless you want to slot into a backup role, which might be the best option for him too.
I agree.
If we're considering
That's what I saw about Rob Williams for sure.
It does feel like Phoenix is a good spot for him. Maybe Atlanta, maybe Boston if they don't go and get Giannis. Like there are places that could use a center, but make $10 million next year, my guy. Go have a good season, and let's just see where the cards play out. He might not want to do it, but he also might not have a choice. That's a big part of it.
And to the thing, too, but to not having a choice, the same way that we're talking about this, because of our familiarity with the situation, everybody that's doing their due diligence of whether they want to offer him a competitive offer sheet that the Suns may or may not be able to match, well, they're having the same conversation. Is he going to be available for us? How would our training staff deal with some of the issues that he's had? And some people might think, hey, we can fix him. We can figure this out. But I think that a lot of teams are probably thinking, listen, it's too big of a risk for us to do it. Let's just go with somebody else. Let's go with somebody else in the veterans minimum. So ultimately, I do think that it is the biggest benefit for him and the Suns if it's a qualifying offer or if it's something short term and not a prove it deal, but like a here is kind of commensurate to what the value you brought and your availability, short term it, and then we can kind of figure out what works best for both parties if you can be healthy. Because guess what? If he's also healthy, that makes him a little bit more attractive on the trade market if Man becomes that guy and he's not suited to be the bridge center or backup center with Oso needing minutes as well.
If you were Mark, would you rather take the 1 year qualifying offer at $9.6 million or take like a 2 year, $16 million deal?
I would take the 216.
Okay. If you were the Suns, would you rather have Mark on a 1 year qualifying offer or 2 years?
I think that was what benefits both parties best.
Okay.
Because there's the whole aspect of him increasing trade value. There's also the idea of this doesn't give us a rushed timeline for Man to be ready. Mm-hmm. And if he is ahead of schedule, all right, let's fire up the trade talks or let's call some people. But if not, we got it figured out. Or if something else happens, we can kind of have this rotation of three centers who we trust. So yeah. I don't know, you saying the same way? Or
I mean, yeah, I think I would if he's willing to do 2 years or less. I just don't know if he'll do that for 2 years to go not significantly less, but I mean about $2 million difference there. There's also the sign and trade option with Mark. Like that's still definitely on the table. A team can go and offer him, a decent amount of money, not a crazy amount, and the Suns will say, okay, well, we would match that unless you give us a couple second round picks for the future, and we like operating with those, or a low level, low risk player. Sign and trades aren't going to net you a big return. Mm-hmm. That's just not how sign and trades work. Now, it'd be nice if it did, but it won't. Like, you might get Patrick Williams, which would make me throw up.
Maybe a hefty trade exception. That'd be cool.
maybe a trade exception, which could help you at the deadline to try to get better. Maybe a couple second-round draft picks that you can throw in as a sweetener on a potential Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal deal if they don't get dealt before tomorrow's draft and instead get dealt for a player during free agency. So this is what's next, but nothing can really be done except for reporting until we actually get into free agency. And then, like you mentioned, we've talked about on the show over and over again, restricted free agency can drag into September. And in some cases, October. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. It feels like the Suns are going to want to kind of get their business done early if this last weekend kind of proves anything. But I would be shocked if it's Mark Williams, is signed in the first, I don't know, even like week or two of free agency. I could see it going on like closer to summer league.
Right. And Espo in the chat says, Suns better hope it doesn't come down to qualifying offer because usually you wait until September to sign those. Can't wait that long for center answers.
I think if it's coming down to that, you're going to exhaust all your options to try to kind of figure out if there's another veteran minimum center that you can sign and then go from there. Part of me also wonders if they just want to say F it and just say, man, you're starting. Now, they might not be good, but I do wonder, and they might, but I do wonder if that is, like, if they have like 3 or 4 different paths for themselves, kind of how to go through this summer, and it was always like all the paths involve bringing back Goodwin and Gillespie. So another one involves bringing back Mark on the qualifying offer, bringing back Mark on a multi-year deal at a decent price, signing and trading Mark for value, and then like letting Mark walk, right? And I do wonder if they think about that last one or the sign and trade one and go, would it be the worst thing in the world to just let Man start and see? And then if we need help signing a veteran center off of like the free agent market during the season, or trading for somebody at the deadline, or trusting Oso to be that guy in there as well. Like, I wonder how comfortable they would be if they were forced to do that. Like, if you gave Brian Gregory truth serum and be like, do you think Kamal Malwatch could start this upcoming season? Like if he would say yes.
And with the true serum, we're talking true serum. We're talking all different stuff. Like it's like we're in a superhero movie
That's
as
right.
well. The PHNX Suns will return in the I don't know how they do it at the end of the talking about the end of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah,
We'll return after this break.
Yeah, like that after this final.
Last week was a transformative week for me, Gil.
How so?
Transformative. I was at one of our World Cup watch parties at Backyard at Desert Ridge for the Mexico-South Korea game, and I had some Don Julio, 1942,
really,
for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And let me tell you, life-changing. Have not been able to stop thinking about that bottle back there, Don Julio, 1942, because guess what? Not only is it smooth and is it delicious, but you've got to celebrate the biggest sporting event in the world with the best alcohol in the world. That's Don Julio, 1942 during the 2026 World Cup. And you can take home a special edition of Don Julio 1942 that honors the artistry of tequila, making as simple as timeless as the beautiful game itself and inspired by the FIFA World Cup trophy. It's that bottle there or right down there. It is a beautiful bottle. They also have the original and, of course, the mini for small but iconic moments. And this week, 2 more watch parties. June 24th at Backyard at Desert Ridge, 6 p.m. kickoff for Mexico. And then the U.S. men's national team, June 25th, this Thursday, 7 p.m. kickoff. That's at Phillies on Warner. Whether you're at your favorite spot or stocking up at home, make it Don Julio 1942.
Love transformative experiences and love a credit union that has you ability to guide you forward on your financial journey.
Yes.
And that credit union is Mountain America Credit Union. Not only will they guide you forward, they're also the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns and the exclusive home of the Phoenix Suns card and the Phoenix Mercury card. So if you want to get a credit card, you can get the Suns or Mercury logo on one of those and do the other on the other one. They got the Mercury's new logo on there as well. So it's very sharp. And listen, you can pair the debit card with My Style Checking to unlock extra benefits like telehealth, loan rate discounts, and mobile phone protection. I got a phone. You got a phone. You want to protect it? Well, Mountain America Credit Union has you covered with that. So just apply any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. Back here winding down the PHNX Suns show on a Monday, the Monday of draft week. And of course, our draft week coverage is presented by 1AZ Credit Union. I'm excited about what should be a transformative week in the NBA. And first off, our poll about the Suns getting involved in trades. 50% of you all said margin move is what you expect or what you think is going to happen. 31% no, team continuity. And then 90% say yes to a major move. I think what's
the line of delineation for, like let's say they trade into the draft, which if they don't trade into the first round, it feels like they're going to at least trade up in the second round, right? Like they're going to just trade cash for a pick. What's the line of major and minor move? Is it literally just first and second round?
I wouldn't necessarily call them trading up for a 21-year-old a major move.
I think trading into the first round is a relatively major move.
Would you guys consider Rasheer Fleming to be a major move last season when it happened? Because that would be the differentiator.
I had a almost lottery grade on Rasheer Fleming, so yes, I would.
He was in the top 20 of my big board, and I was very high on him. And not saying that just because I'm here now, but I really was before. I would say that would be relatively major. I think
major
adjacent.
If you have to trade to get into the first round, you're probably trading Grayson Allen, or you're trading Royce O'Neal.
That's true.
Or you're trading
going out of it is important
draft
too.
Capital. Like a major move. Like look, as much as we could be like, oh, like Giannis or Anthony Davis, like that's just not going to happen, right? Or trading Jalen Green for Zion Williamson. Like these are things that would be considered major moves. They're just not going to happen. It doesn't mean it's not worth talking about. We might talk about Josh Giddey later in the week, but that's not something I think going into at least tomorrow. Like tomorrow, if we're talking about a major move, I would say you trade into the first round somewhere in the mid-20s-ish, which is where I kind of feel like they're going to go. And go and draft somebody that you feel like can figure in and be a part of your rotation. Somebody says you don't draft somebody to be in the rotation next year. That's kind of not the case anymore. I know that last year with Collin and with Rasheer, we wanted them to play more. They didn't play more. But look around the NBA. Rookies make an impact, whether they're young or whether they're old. Guys are coming in and they're playing good, high-level minutes. And I'm not just talking about top 3 guys or lottery guys. There are dudes scattered all around the first round and sometimes in the second round where you go and you draft somebody and they figure in as a rotation player. So I would consider trading for a first-round pick, like a major move considering what I think it'll take to give it up, and maybe what it means for the future of the position if they do draft somebody there. Because think about all the players we're talking about cementing in a roster spot right now. Rasheer, Kaman, Oso, like maybe Ryan as well. Like these are all draft picks recently. So this team likes sticking with their draft picks. So I would consider that a major
homegrown
move.
talent is super important. I think the one thing that's important to remember as well, you got CJ Huntley coming back on a two-way deal. Kobe Brea, I would assume, is probably going to be retained on a two-way. So you have one more slot. So that 47th pick could very well be used on someone who they want to just have on a two-way slot and doesn't count toward the team itself. Well, I don't use the word annoying, but I would say the saga's been annoying. The whole Giannis Antetokounmpo of it all.
Have you heard he's going to get traded?
Really?
Yeah.
News to me.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
He said
Are you ready for Kyle Kuzma in the Valley?
Did you see Kyle Kuzma's tweet earlier?
Unfortunately, I see all of Kyle Kuzma's tweets.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, yeah, but he's a quote-unquote throw-in, except he guards 1 through 5 and shoots 50%. It's not about Kyle Kuzma.
Now, he didn't say he guards 1 through 5 well. But he does guard 1 through 5.
That is true. He guards 1. That's a great point. And he said he cares about defense or something like that.
He cares about defense. I care about defense too. That doesn't mean I'm good at it.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Brian says, just saw Giannis at No Free Ads. Filiberto's. Wow. Huge. Huge. He was also hanging out with Kevin Durant, who's going to get traded back to the Suns.
There you go. Got it all going. But I think the big thing about it is, I mentioned that to say, one, it's just the story that's dominating the NBA news cycle. So I'm happy that Collin and Goody could get their spotlight in signing over the weekend or reportedly agreeing to contracts over the weekend. But I do think that a big part of it is it's going to be kind of like the dam. Like once this trade happens, everybody else can okay, finally, let's do business.
Especially because draft picks. It feels like there's going to be a lot of draft picks involved, and there's going to be multiple teams. Now, Giannis, according to Shams, and just it feels like common knowledge at this point, is going to be going either to Boston or to Miami. But is there a Lakers team involved? Is there a Portland team involved who has the Bucks picks? Is there a Pistons team involved? Obviously, there's been no smoke on the Suns, but sometimes the third teams kind of come out of nowhere. Can the Suns pick up an extra second-round draft pick or a first-round draft pick and parting maybe with Grayson Allen in a trade like this and then packaging a future first-round pick with your 47th pick to get into the first round this year? It does feel like that needs to happen for these other moves to be made. But if we start the draft tomorrow and Giannis isn't traded, I think the Suns aren't going to be afraid to still go out there and make some sort of move. I personally would be shocked if there isn't at least some traction of Sham saying the Suns are trying to trade into the first round. Obviously, it takes two to tango. But if we get to the end of both draft nights and the Suns just end up with the 47th pick, I'd be shocked.
I'm taking it a step further, too. I'm about to go 4D on you.
Oh, okay.
Because you mentioned
four paths.
Yeah, 4 paths. But you mentioned some of the teams in the Western Conference getting involved. Conversely, if it is a direct competitor to the Heat or Celtics that say, oh, man, we need to – there's no Giannis stopper on this roster.
If it's the Pistons,
we need to maybe get a vet. And maybe it's
Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal,
a shooter to be able to compete with the Heat, compete with the Celtics. We're willing to let go of one of our first-round picks to do so. I think the Knicks are slated currently to pick 24 and 31, and I think that they are cool where they are right now. They won for the first time in 53 years, but what if one of those picks become more available because they think that they need somebody that's ready to compete and play right away, and they don't have room to bring in a rookie, or they don't have any rookies that they want in either of those spots. So I do think that the dominoes on the Eastern Conference are worth monitoring. Not that you have to play Boston or Miami more than twice a year, but one of their direct competitors could be looking at what you have on your roster and say, can we get involved?
Well, you have, and this is kind of proven with Jordan and with Collin, and you have a lot of good role players. A lot of really good role players on some pretty decent contracts. Royce can start for somebody, if not be a good six-man at $10 million per year. That's a pretty good price, right? You're not going to trade Collin, you're not going to trade Jordan, but Grayson Allen at $18 million is not necessarily a bad contract, and he's only under contract, I think, for another year after this upcoming season. So not a 4 or 5 year commitment for Grayson Allen. If it is a Ryan Dunn, which I don't want them to trade Ryan Dunn, I still believe in him as a rotation player, but I could see other teams really wanting Ryan Dunn to be on there. He's on a good, controllable contract as well. You have guys that can contribute on decent salaries for teams that are trying to compete. Because those guys, if they're not going to get Giannis, they're not going to go make another big major trade. They're going to try to add on the margins, right? If the Knicks are trying to maybe sell off one of their draft picks, if the Pistons are trying to sell off their draft pick, if the Timberwolves, even if it's like team in the West, like if they're trying to sell off their draft picks.
They will soon be in the East.
Right, they'll soon be in the East. They
Allegedly.
might look at your role players and just be like, you know what? You've got really good role players. We've got some more draft picks. We're in more of a position to win right now. You want to get a little bit younger, and there's maybe like a jam at this position. Let's work something out. I could totally see that happening. I also don't think the Suns would be afraid to just trade cash for a second-round pick or trade a future pick
to move up this year.
There's
somebody you're enamored with is worth doing it.
Yeah, and then just figure it out afterwards, especially if somebody falls like Rasheer fell. Because like that 20 to like 35 range is very interesting, and we usually see a little bit of a shakeup there. If they identify somebody that they would take in the first round that drops to the beginning of the second round, you might see Brian Gregory go back-to-back with the trading up to begin the second round with that type of talent there, because there will be a drop-off probably past like 40 or 45 versus that first like 10 picks of the second round.
Absolutely. I think that's the big one where, again, I think once you get past 45 and the Suns are neatly set at 47 right now, so perfectly in that range, the eye would be on the undrafted free agents at that point. I honestly prefer the undrafted free agents at that point because oftentimes it's players, their agents, having some conversations about what makes the most sense fit-wise, and then obviously guys who can bet on themselves as far as summer league goes and everything like that. But super intrigued, excited to see how it happens, and excited to see if...
What do you think happens, like, legit? Like, if you had to put your genie hat on, is that a thing? Genie hat?
Is it the crystal ball?
Like a crystal ball. What's
crystal
the hat?
ball out.
What's the hat? Who wears the hat? Y'all know what I'm talking about,
I don't know if
right?
genies have hats.
Huh?
Genies do have hats, but I don't think that they can tell the future. They grant wishes, brother.
Yeah, well, like, no. Oh, that's true. Yeah, wait. Yeah.
If I had my genie hat, I would grant you everything your heart desired,
Dude,
man. If I had wow. That's crazy. I should leave.
It's too easy.
I thought that the one time that I was being kind. Yeah, I'm giving you the exact opposite of what you asked for as a genie. Yeah, all right. Yep.
Gil the genie does kind of rip, though.
Yeah, well, you ain't going to find out, bro.
It's too easy.
Nope.
It's too easy. What do you think happens?
Well,
obviously you can't tell the future because you didn't know.
I didn't know that was going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. With the Suns, I do expect a move to trade up, and I think it's going to go under the radar because of the Giannis of everything. And I think that there are going to be some secondary moves after the Giannis situation happens that nobody's going to pay attention to what's going on here. But I expect them to address a need, and maybe I think I would say between 25 and 35, they'll move up and pick 25 and 35.
So we feel like the Suns trade up. Mm-hmm. Do you think it takes Grayson Allen or Royce?
One of the two. I think that one of them too.
Do we think they open up a roster? Well, not open up a roster because they're going to draft somebody, but they exchange some of that money for a younger player, go and try to get Mark at a 2-year reasonable deal in free agency, and then maybe make one more trade or one more splash in free agency if you open up a roster spot?
Yes.
Potentially.
I think it's a margin guy. It's something comparable to picking up Amir Coffey or picking up Haywood Highsmith. Something comparable to that. A guy who's maybe been like I don't think Jonathan Isaac if and when he gets waived by Orlando, but something like that.
I could see Isaac. It's not a shooter, but it is somebody who could bring a little size to the power forward position. I kind of feel like they're going to cut Jamari.
I could see it.
I just can kind of see that happening because it is a team option, so it wouldn't be on the books. Just business, man, and that sucks. I think, especially you just spent $15 million next year on your backup guards. You need a forward and you need a roster spot. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow's show. We'll be starting right at the beginning of the draft for the entirety of the first round. We are super excited. Even if the Suns don't trade in the first round, we're going to have a ton of fun. Here. I will say this. I have the best draft day fit. We see all these suits and we see all these, like, you got Frank the Tank with the tank in the suit. I'm
spoiling it for you guys. It's like the Trae Young draft day. He's got shorts and a suit jacket.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh, here's the thing. It's a suit, but it's not that type of suit. And it's not a birthday suit either. So
thank God.
I have the best draft day outfit that I will be wearing tomorrow, and I am so excited to just break down every single draft pick with the guys wearing the best outfit that you have ever seen. And then Spike is right, says, why don't you give us your choices at 47? Well, that's what tomorrow's show is for too, but If Jaden Bradley's there, they're going to take Jaden Bradley. Because then we're going to be there for night 2. And we're also going to be there if they make a trade, they do anything like that. So right here on this channel, hit the subscribe button on your way out of here. It's right next to that like button, which you should also be hitting. There's a ton of you in here. And we got a lot coming for you. And we had a lot over the weekend. If you missed it, a couple breaking news pods. And Gil, B. Colmsey clearly is back with a $2.93 super chat. I've never seen that shit before. $2.93?
This is who the Suns are looking for at 47.
Yeah. Value deal.
According to B. Colmsey clearly, get somebody with some cake. 3 hearts. We need cake. Clap. So there's your answer for 47.
It is so good to see.
Good to have you back.
B. Colmsey, clearly.
Always.
293 is awesome.
293.
293 rocks.
That's I don't know. I wonder what the inspiration is, or maybe I don't wonder what the inspiration is, but we appreciate you. We appreciate each and every one of you who hung out with us here on Monday, draft week. It's only getting started. It's only going up from here.
Woo!
Draft day tomorrow. 5 p.m. in Arizona, 8 p.m. for my people on the East Coast. Tune in with us tomorrow and Wednesday live throughout the first and second round of the 2-day NBA draft. Year 3 of 2-day NBA draft?
No, it's year 2.
3.
I'm pretty sure it was just last year.
Bronny year.
Oh, that's right, the Bronald year.
The Bronny year. Bronny Filipowski year. And then
LeBronald.
I don't know who was second. And then last year was Jamal Meshach. And now this is third.
Rasheer Fleming.
Rasheer Fleming. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You just got a comment that said Shams Bomb.
Oh, well, is it
actually
for real?
Shams Bomb? No, it's not. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Come on.
See?
It says Shams Bomb. This says later tonight.
Later tonight. Okay,
Chat, be more responsible.
You can't be crying wolf with these trades. Just know. But we'll be here regardless of whatever happens, especially if it's something that happens involving the Suns. So for the Freckled Mamba, who you can follow at Freckled Mamba, for yours truly, you can follow at Gil McGregor with an _. And Erik, you can follow at ERIKRUBY. Make sure to follow all of us at PHNX_Suns. We will catch you back here tomorrow for draft day 1. See you then. I trusted him.
We all silly like the mayor.